And hello once again, my lovelies. We are back at the Junk Planet, and today we have had this ship straight in from Japan, the Final Fantasy VII Remake Arts Kai Cloud Strife version 2. Oof, that's a mouthful. And this figure is like the second coming of Christ. I have been so excited for this for about a year. They announced this before the game came out, and I was super pumped. I was super pumped for the game, and I love the game. Amazing. Love the original. The remake is incredible, so please play it if you haven't. And I saw they were remaking not only the game, but the original Arts Kai Cloud figure that came out a few years ago. And I didn't pick that figure up simply because I thought the face looked a bit off. And apparently so did Square, because they have now released this version with an updated head sculpt and just some minor improvements here and there, and I'm over the moon about it. I cannot wait to crack into this. So without further ado, let's review. Alright, let's crack Cloud open. We have the trusty penknife here. Oh, that's satisfying. Here we have his stand, and these are updated stand because the old Arts Kai stands were awful. They sucked, and they also came in the packaging itself. You would have to rip the box open to get them out. So this is a huge improvement. Comes in its own little plastic shell. Ooh, this is fancy. This is a lot more similar to their Bring Art line, which have much nicer stands than their regular Arts Kai ones. Okay, there we go. That is a stand. Ooh, that is good. That is a sturdy stand. And it comes with two different grips. So, one if you want a nice skinny Cloud, one if you want a nice thick Cloud. You know what, I'm thinking, he's a skinny boy. He's a skinny boy. We're going the skinny one. Who cares about the stand? Why am I playing with that? Let's get this open. Long have I waited. Buster Sword. Whoa. It's massive. Look at the size of this. Here he is. Cloud himself. Wow. That looks cool. Oh, that face is good. You know, Arts Kai have really stepped up in the last few years, and this is the first one I've bought in a long time. I used to get a lot of their Kingdom Hearts ones, because I'm a big weeb like that, but they stopped making them, and they moved over to Bring Art. But there was something good about these big doll-like figures. I love them. And over here we have hands, bits and bobs. You know the drill. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the figure. The new face sculpt is amazing. massive improvement. It really looks like Cloud in the game. They got a nice wash in the hair. It does look a bit yellow, but it definitely looks accurate to how he looks in the game. And they managed to capture that anime, photoreal kind of aesthetic that is in the Final Fantasy VII Remake very well in the figure. It doesn't look too anime, but it also doesn't look too real. It looks like Cloud in the game. It really is a very faithful recreation of him. And a big step up from last time. I definitely think it's worth buying this figure alone, is just for this new face. In terms of the design, it comes with his gauntlets. So he has these little bangles, I think they're called in Final Fantasy, around his arm here. He has his gauntlet on this side as well, looking good. He's got a cool shoulder pad, which like in the game is made from screws, and here's some little cracks that show it's been worn over time. There's his little earring there. On the back, he's got pockets in his trousers, or pants for you American viewers. And he has zips on his boots. and there's stitches all the way down the trousers here and here, and a few belts because, you know, this was designed by Tetsuya Nomura, so you can expect lots of belts, zips, and spiky hair. Overall, this captures the likeness in the game very well. Alright, let's take a closer look at the Buster Sword. See here you have the slots for the materia, and there's some sort of decals there, some details here on this side, and this part of the sword is a different shade of plastic, or paint on the plastic, I suppose you could say. Oh wow, I didn't even notice that. On the top of the blade, there's actually some minor scratches. Apart from that, that's a bit of plastic. There are some minor scratches on the blade to simulate that, you know, it's been slicing. It's been hacking through people. Alright, so let's go through Cloud's articulation. The head is on a ball joint on both sides, so at the neck and at the top, so you can get a nice range of movement here. His arms go up and down. This one is slightly hindered by the shoulder pad. You can't quite go up to 90 degrees, but I still think that's pretty good. There's a swivel at the top here. There's a double jointed elbow on both sides, which means you can get just past 90, which is cool. I'm doing a little strongman pose here. The arms are on a ball joint, which are quite well disguised. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of ball joints on everything. I think they can look a little bit ugly because, you know, people aren't made out of little balls. But yeah, so you can go up and down, and then you can twist the joint to then get side to side as well. The torso has a rocker here, so you can go back and forth. I can go this far back, this far forward, which is okay, could be better. He goes back really fast. You can get him doing some cool matrix poses, but yeah, in terms of forward articulation, it's a bit lacking. But you can get him going, you know, side to side very well. For the legs, they are on a clicky joint, is what I like to call them. So when you move them, they go, yep, they click, and they can go about this far forward, which is, yeah, it's decent. It's a decent amount. The knees are double jointed, which means he can go this far back, which is pretty impressive. Can nearly kick his own butt. And for the legs, or the feet, they are on a ball joint, which is not very well disguised. It's kind of ugly, but is what it is. There's a bit of pivot, so you can go from side to side, and they go up and down as so. And the toes have articulation, so you can do that if you want. Honestly, I think that's pointless. I've never understood why action figures have toe articulation. Here's a closer look at the extra hands that Cloud comes with. 2 gripping hands. These ones are at a slight angle. 2 gripping hands that aren't at a slight angle, just regular old gripping hands. 2 fisted hands. And finally 2 open palm hands. Okay, so for the Buster Sword, you take one of the gripping hands as so. Because how the hell does he hold this with one hand? That's a tight hole. That's what she said. Alright, twist in. Easy does it. But yeah, that is incredibly tight. Ugh. Okay, I don't like that. I may have to warm this up to get this in. Alright, and we are back. I managed to get the sword in his hands by heating up the plastic, and he holds it quite well. And if you heat them up, put them in some boiling water, they slot right in just fine. So if you do encounter that problem, I really recommend that instead of risking the paint flaking off, because even after I'd done that, I looked at the surface below and there was paint flecks on the surface, which sucks. I don't know why it's so tight, but I mean, at least he's not going to let go of it. Here he is with sword in hand. And I can tell you what, it's a tough job getting the whole thing in the frame. It is massive. Again, just like in the game, he's definitely overcompensating for something. But yeah, it looks good. Looks good, and he holds it pretty well. For swapping out arms, it is very simple. These unpeg like so. And you just grab another one here. And then it just slots in. You know, I was saying it was simple, and now I feel like a bit of an idiot. I'm having a real problem with these hands. Nothing is fitting. Everything's too big, and it is taking so much self-control not to make a sexual joke right now. Looks like I'm gonna have to do some more heating up.
2 hours later.
And through the power of editing, we are back. If you heat it up, like with the sword, it fits on. But why do I have to do that? Okay, yeah, the holes are too small. They're just tight. Just need to loosen up a little bit, you know. Come on, guys, just chill. Also, the Buster Sword fits snugly on the back of Cloud here. You see this little nubbin? You just pop this out like so. There we go. That comes out. And then in the accessories, you have this part here, which then just slots in. Again, with great force, because for some reason everything in this figure just doesn't want to go in. Okay, there we go. We got that in. Then the sword just pops in the back in one of the materia slots. And luckily they painted this bit, or I say they painted it, it's sculpted to look like a screw, so it, you know, it fits in like that. There you go, and then he has the sword on his back. I do have a few problems with this figure, not gonna lie. I think they were problems with the original release as well. The main complaint is with these hips. They are just too wide. They just look a bit off. I think it's because the legs themselves, because they're baggy trousers. In the game, you know, it's just it's supposed to look baggy. It's supposed to be material that is baggy, whereas here you have these giant sausage legs, but then this tiny little waist, and then they sort of converge in the middle here, and it just makes it look a bit weird, like he just has this big fat butt. You know, if you have an angle from the side like this, it's not too bad, but then as soon as you have him, you know, doing any kicks or any, or like walking, it sticks out here, and it looks strange. Alright, Cloud comes in at just around, let's get the old measure out. Cloud comes in at about 10 3/4 inches, I would say. Let's do some comparisons to other figures. Here we have the Bring Arts Another World Cloud. This is the Kingdom Hearts version of him. And this is the Bring Arts line, which is their 6-inch line, whereas this is their, well, 12-inch line, whatever you want to call it, 10, 12-inch, they all range. So, yeah, the Bring Arts version comes in about half the size of this guy. Next up we have, this is the NECA Casey Jones. I thought I'd choose him because they're in similar poses. He has a enormous hockey stick that reminded me of the Buster Sword. And next is your standard Marvel Legend. Here is the Vintage Wave Rogue. And next, mainly because I just love this figure and I think it deserves more praise, is the Bandai Model Kit Woody. If I can get him to stand up. Well, he's lost his hat. This is the Toy Story 2 version.
Good, okay.
Woody, you haven't found your hat yet, have you?
No!
Of Woody. It's a rare exclusive version. This is the Final Fantasy Remake. Final Fantasy VII. Ugh, my God, mouthful. This is the Final Fantasy VII Remake Arts Cloud. Oh my God. And yes, this is the Final Fantasy Arts Kai Cloud. This has been a Cloud figure that I reviewed. I'm not saying the whole thing. Overall, this guy's great. He looks awesome. He poses great. The articulation, superb. I love the new stand. Nice accessories. Maybe could have done with some materia to go in here, but it is what it is. The last big thing I have to talk about is the price. This guy's expensive. In fact, Arts Kai have essentially doubled in price since I started collecting them. I don't know, about... Oof, must be coming up to 10 years now. Must be coming up to 10 years. Yeah, they're a lot more expensive. They used to be about 50 or 60 pounds, which is still very expensive for an action figure. But, you know, I thought they were somewhat worth it, even though they were a lot cruddier back then. Definitely the quality has stepped up tremendously. Even in the past, like, 3 years has gone so much better. This is 100, I believe, 130 pounds on the Square Enix store, which is ludicrous. And obviously you can get it cheaper by importing it, which is what I did. I originally pre-ordered it from the Square Enix website, but it just kept getting delayed. This guy's been out for a while in Japan, like he's been out for like 4 months. Yet Square Enix, I'd keep checking my pre-order, and then every day it'd be like, oh no, we pushed it back just a little bit. But I was sick of waiting, so I just went on Amazon Japan and ordered this guy like 5 days ago, and he's already here. It's crazy, and I love him. Really cool. Check out my next review. It'll be of Barrett, because I've got him. So I'll do the pair, and then when Tifa and Aerith come out, I will hopefully be able to pick them up as well. Depends on how much money I have. But yes, so this has been the Junk Planet, and I will see you later.